How y'all doing for our first episode of Real Talk Eastern Shore? We're in lovely Delaware, Dover, matter of fact, at my pad here, looking at the trees and the birds and how beautiful it is outside. My name is Ron, as one of your co-hosts, and my other co-host is John. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. It's been a lovely day.
I see that. I see sun's out, guns out, right?
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Got the cut off tee, got your tattoo showing. Like I don't know, are you going for a walk? Are you going to start lifting weights? Are you trying to play basketball? What's going on with the outfit here?
No, it's just hot, and I got two kids at home.
Well, I understand. I mean, especially when being outside, like it's a beautiful day to be outside, but definitely not in the sun because it's going to bake your skin, and those ultraviolet rays suck. I mean, it gets to the point that you start looking like old leather. That's not a good look, but that's fine. It's okay. But as we were saying, this is our first episode of our podcast. It's Real Talk Eastern Shore with Ron and John. Um, we're going to go from here and we're going to introduce what we are going to bring to the table here. Well, go ahead, John.
Well, the reason we've been talking about this podcast, starting one for years now,
About 5 or 6 years.
and finally 2 weeks ago, he said, "Do it, John. Come on, set it all up." It was not easy.
No, it's more work than what we thought, but I got to admit it's going to be well worth it in the end. I'm more than willing to sit here on many days and nights, and if I got to edit, but I'm not the IT guy here. I'm just the guy that's going to host because I got a loud mouth and I talk a lot. So I mean, that kind of helps out. Um, John's more of a different type. Like he's more quiet, reserved. He always tells me that he don't like to put himself out there, but he's going to put himself out here today and for future reference every day because he loves people. He's a people lover, correct?
Right. Well,
Right.
the thing is, I am an introvert, so this is actually very hard, knowing people are actually going to listen to this.
So what is that exactly?
It means I like to keep to myself.
Like to keep to yourself? Why do you like to keep to yourself?
Nobody needs to know my business, but I am willing, for the purpose of this podcast, to put myself out there. And while you learn about me, we learn about you.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I think you can be out there without throwing your business out there
Mhm.
because a lot of people like to mingle in business and mess up your business if you say it out there.
Yeah.
I totally understand. I totally agree. The biggest problem I think that us as society, we want to be so nosy about everyone's business instead of our own. It's just like the drama factor. If someone else has drama, everybody wants to see it. Everybody wants to look at it. They're like, "Oh, look at that! He's going through this or she's going through that." Instead of be like, "Yo, they got to deal with what they got to deal with." And unfortunately, some of this, cases, it's not as good as others. The bad part about turning the blind eye can also be there might be help needed. And that kind of brings to where we're going to introduce what we have to offer and also what this podcast is all about.
So, as you may have noticed, we are not professional podcasters. We are just two locals on the Eastern Shore.
So the thing is, like Eastern Shore, like we need to understand, and everyone else needs to understand. At the end of the day, Eastern Shore consists of Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. Anything below the Canal of Delaware is the Eastern Shore. Anything that is south of Chesapeake City, pretty much, I guess you say Earlville is the Eastern Shore, and all the way down to Cape Charles, Virginia, and Sheraton. I'm lucky to know where them places are. I've been all the way down there. That's out into the Tunnel Bridge. But I mean, the whole premise of this podcast is to know the average Joe, to know, what took them to get where they are, what took them to be who they are. If they have questions, we answer them. We're not going to be professionals about it because honestly, we're not counselors. We don't have a degree, but we're honest about it. We're going to give our opinion if you want that opinion. If you don't want the opinion, that's fine. And we'll even, if we have to, if you want, we'll make sure that your name is not published or your name is not spoken of at that point in time. That way, you feel this. I guess you say would be the best word for that. Secretive. You can be secretive about it, so you don't feel like you're putting yourself out there. I'm sorry about that, but I mean, at the end of the day, we all have problems. We all have issues, and some people don't have people to talk to, and some people don't have people to rely on, and some people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid how people judge them. And here, we're a free judgment place. Like, if you want to talk about something that you feel like someone's going to judge you differently because you feel a certain way, I totally understand. We're not going to judge you. We might sit there and say, listen, I wouldn't do that, or well, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. We want to be what you call your ears, so we can hear you, and we will speak if you need us to speak to you. That way, you feel more confident about your decision. If you have a decision, an opinion, whatever it is, because people are lonely out there. I see it all the time. Being what I do as logistic supervisor now, but being on the road for 16, 17 years, delivering freight to certain places and certain houses, you start, knowing your customers. And when you know your customers, you start noticing, like, might be, whatever, an older lady, and she might live alone, and like she might be, she's a widow, and she don't have no one to talk to. Like, no one comes visit her really bad. And you start feeling bad for them, because at the end of the day, you're like, where's her family? I mean, you're not going to know, because she's going to do what she wants to do at the end of the day. And we don't know nothing about her. But at the same time, you feel, a little bit like, I need to sit there and let her talk for a couple minutes. I need to sit there and hear what she's got to say, even if it makes no sense. It's just to listen for that 1 minute.
Yeah.
We're all human beings, and it's starting to take more grip to me as I got older. I think probably about 3 to 4 years ago, when the pandemic, right before the pandemic hit, I started, I guess my train of thought and the way I was started changing slowly. I started, thinking more of being a human being person. I guess you say I'm not. I can't really come up with a terminology to my head, but I started feeling bad for certain things that I never felt bad for. And I'll give a classic example. So where I work at, there is a tent city. If we know what a tent city is, it's like a bunch of people that are homeless, and they sit back and they're in the woods and they're in tents and all that. And I remember when that started, there was only like 2 to 4 people back there. Now we're looking at about 60 to 80 people on a regular basis, going from the woods, going past my place of work, going to walk, probably I would say about a quarter of a mile, just to get a shower, just to get food, stuff like that. And it's sad to see it, because some have mental illness, and the mental illness thing is so broad. There's so many mental illnesses out there. Like, you can't focus on one, because it could be, they could be a vet, the drugs that they done, it could be, they got put in a downward spiral because of something happened in their life, and they couldn't, you know, I guess resist, making bad choices afterwards. And unfortunately, as society, I agree that we have to do something, but at the same time, we also have to look at case by case, because you can't just go and, hey, we do this all for them, this is how it needs to be. It can't go that way. But you know
And you're right. And for the longest time, there's been this stigma that if you have a mental illness, you're crazy,
yes, yes,
which you're not. It's not your choice to be that way.
that.
There's no reason why a man or a woman can't say they need help without having other people judge them.
I totally agree. I mean, the biggest problem though is, like, I don't know if it's the facilities that they have for help and they're understaffed, or people don't know how to make that happen. I mean, there's a lot of things out there. I mean, it is so terrible. Like, literally, and I'll give it another example. This happened this week. So I run the night till about 8, 9 o'clock. We have to get things over to Baltimore as soon as possible. So there's a girl outside, screaming, and this is about 7:30, saying, they're burning my stuff in the woods, and they're doing this to me. They're trying to fight me, and this and that. And I'm just like, what? Like, I'm kind of looking at her, a little bit, concerned, but I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a couple other guys that, at work, and she kind of knew I guess she kind of knew the other guy. I don't know. But so she sat there, called the cops. So the cops come. While she was sitting there waiting for the cops, I kept on hearing her hollering to the woods. Now we're talking about the woods is probably at least a tenth of a mile, maybe 2/10 of a mile. And like, she's like, yeah, they're talking to me back there. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, what? Are you serious? Like, I'm trying to grasp this whole situation, going, what is she talking about? And she's like, yeah, you better not be burning my what? You're burning my stuff? Why are you burning my stuff? Yeah, this. And like she's answering, and there's nobody I hear. Nobody around except for my guys that are out in the parking lot trying to leave. So the cops come, they go in the back and escort her back there. Okay, cool. So this situation is done, I thought. Good one, yeah. So come to find out, they weren't burning anything back there, but a bunch of, I guess, firewood, which it is what it is. That's fine. I understand. It's a homeless, camp. They're going to do stuff like that. So when I'm about to leave about 9 o'clock, there was one other person that came in that was about to leave with me. She comes back out, the one from the homeless camp. She's like, "Oh, they're trying to fight me, this and that, and I don't know what to do." And I'm just like, "Oh, who's trying to fight you?" She's like, "You see them? They're down by the air conditioner." Now, the building I'm in is a brick built. Well, not brick. It's like concrete block all the way down, and it might be, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 paces down. There's a big air conditioner on the ground that's on a concrete slab. And I'm sitting there going, man, what is she talking about? She's like, yeah, you see, oh, I see you moving. She's hollering at him. She's like, yeah, I see you move from here. Why are you moving your hat? Oh, he ain't nobody. He's just someone that works here. And I'm sitting there going, say, who are you talking to? She's like, don't you see him? Don't you see him? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm completely confused here because I'm like, what is going on? Because I don't try to put myself in that situation anymore. When I was younger, I hung out with people that did some things, and that is what it is. But now I don't. I don't try to, sit there and go, oh, well, I want to hang out with you because you like to party like that. So I'm just kind of, whatever. I'm like, listen, what do you want me to do? She's like, well, you need to call the cops. I think you need to call the cops again. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess I'll call the cops then. So, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, are you okay? She was like, yeah, yeah. And then she started yelling back in the woods. And I'm sitting there going, who are you talking to again? I'm like, I'm confused completely, 100%. And I'm just like completely, mind boggled at this point. So I called a non emergency number and I was like, listen, you guys been out here. It must have been maybe like 2 hours ago. Can you guys come back out here? This girl I have here, I don't know what's going on with her, man. I think this is a mental health situation. I have no clue. So I wait in the parking lot. We're sitting there. I'm kind of waiting. And she's like, let me call my brother. I was like, first off, like, I'm not going to let you have my phone because I don't know what you're going to do. And also, in this time of age, you can't trust anybody because everybody seems to be out for themselves. It's not like, back in the time, it was like the theory of, it take a village to raise a child. And that theory is pretty much gone anymore because even if you are walking around and a child does something bad and you say something to them, their parents want to sit there and either sue you or holler at you. You're such a bad person, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. I worry about people because at the same time, she's around my business and she's around my employees, and I don't want my employees to have to deal with it either because that also causes stress to them. So the cops are coming. I'm sitting there going, okay, I was like, so uh, she kept on talking back and forth. She's like, you see him? You see him by the AC? I'm like, no, I don't see him yet. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So she's like, you must not have a powerful flashlight. I said, I don't, but I know what I'm seeing. So she was like, well, I'm just, they try, they're mad at me because when I called the cops, they went back there and supposedly they stole her phone and they couldn't find her phone. So they still ain't found her phone. But I guess when they were back there, one of the people had an active warrant on them. So they arrested that person. When they arrested that person, I guess the whole crew or camp got mad. So supposedly then she was going to, get beat up, from my understanding. And the initial situation has to do with another girl going back there. I guess they were back there. And she sat there, I guess her boyfriend cheated on her with this other girl. And that causes all this, stigma about that. So like I'm like, okay. I said, so are you high? I looked right at her dead to her. She's like, yeah, I'm high. I said, what are you high on? She was like, I'm high on heroin. I was like, you're on heroin? She was like, yeah. I was like, are you serious? She was like, yeah. She's like, I said, how long was that ago? She was like, 4 hours. I was like, 4 hours? Are you serious? She was, and I looked at her real quick, and I kind of like I don't try to look at people so much, like look at them like, oh, what's this body look like? Oh, look at this. So I kind of looked at her, and she had a tank top on. I noticed she had like a little a little belly, a little baby bump. I thought, but I was kind of like, I don't think she's pregnant. I don't think she's pregnant. I said,
Hope not.
I said, um, so are you pregnant or something? She was like, yeah, I'm pregnant, and it's his kid, and I'm gonna get custody of him. I was like, whoa! I was like, holy crap! Are you serious? And like it blew my mind. Like this girl is heroin up on I want to say it was a Thursday. It could have been Wednesday. I can't remember exactly. I get my days mixed up anymore because I'm getting old and decrepit. So I mean, it is what it is. But like she's sitting there telling me, she's pregnant. It's his kid, and she's gonna get rights to this kid. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? Like, you need to get clean. And I even made the comment. I was like, yo, you need to get off that stuff, man. That's only going to make the baby worse. It's going to hurt the baby, and that's going back to being a human being, caring at least a little bit of the situation. So the cops come. They have two cops and a mental health person with them. They
Behavioral health.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't know. It was an older lady, but she was probably maybe 50. I'm only 40. By the way, I'm 46, so I haven't hit 50 yet. If I make 50, it's a blessing. We're gonna have a birthday party, and all the drinks are on me. But anyway, the point is, so like she comes out, she was like, she's talking to the girl, and I was like, this girl don't want to go back there. Like she's scared to death. I mean, what is there anything can be done? Well, we can't do it. We can't force them to do anything. And I was like, you can't force them. I was like, I don't understand. Like, if she's high, like, she can't make her own judgment. She can't really technically make her own decision because at that point in juncture, she's not coherent to make a decision. It's just like when you're out under the influence of alcohol. If you are drunk and you decide to have sex with somebody, it's technically can be classified rape. That's the biggest thing people don't realize. That's why, like, the best thing to do, if someone's been drinking, you don't know them like that, don't do it because it's going to cause bad problems. But back to the story. So, hey man, I got
Got off
ADHD.
on a
It
tangent.
happens.
That's all
Yeah,
good. It's all
ADHD.
good.
I'm going to change it up.
This is life. It's life.
Yeah, I know. It is what it is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And this is the first one. We're going to do many more. And I got to be like this. It is what it is. I'm going to have a story probably every week. I mean, you got to think of everything. But so the cop told me no. He said by the Constitution we cannot do that. And I was like, well, I was like, she don't need to be going back there. She feels this way. I was like, there's no way she's going to be able to go back there, and you not coming back out here again.
Mm.
You know, he was like, well, that it is what it is. So he's like, listen, and I will not say the girl's name. And he was like, so, are you going to come with us? We can put you someplace, and then we can get you some treatment. To start tomorrow, but we can get you where you need to go tonight. You know, and if worse comes to worse, if you want to leave your stuff back there, we'll go tomorrow and get it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon for you. That way, you don't have to worry about that situation at all. And this girl's like, no, I got my baby pictures and my pictures of my kids and this and that, and I'm thinking to myself this whole time, I'm like, I ain't seen no kids with you yet. Like, if you got kids, are they back there? And if they're back there, why are they back there? Who is the father? Why ain't the father intervening? So like I'm kind of like biting my lip a little bit. I'm kind of like, man, this is sad. Like she's like, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go. So like the behavior health specialist, as you call them, was sitting there like sitting there going like, well, you got to make a decision. We're not going back there to go get it now, but we can come back tomorrow. And then I just decided like I've had enough. Like I've totally had enough of hearing this woman giving a reason or excuse not to get help. And I made the comment, I said, listen, they're only pictures. I understand pictures last forever usually, but sometimes they don't. And I understand they're your kids' pictures. But at the end of the day, you need help. You are more worried about materialistic things than you are about real life. And real life is right now you're pregnant with a child and it's going to be hooked on heroin. Like, and guess what? At the end of the day, all of us are going to pay for it because that's what we do. That's what the government has us do, and that's how it's going to be. And she was kind of like, no, I'm not leaving without my pictures, blah blah. And I keep on thinking, my man, like, if you love your kids, get yourself straight, make yourself, well, make yourself so you don't have to be making millions of dollars or making like, a paycheck every week. Just make it so your kids are great and they're comfortable, they're loved, they're cared. They want, you know, kids have a lot of wants at the end of the day. And that's the truth of the matter. And, my mom always told me, you can have one all you want, you can want it more because I'm not going to want to get it. And I'm like, I understand now what that means. You want to give your kids everything in life, plain and simple. And I came from a poor background. My mom and was a housewife, and my dad was a moneymaker. He worked for the state of Delaware, and we never. I'm not saying we did without, but we did with what we needed, and that's it. And that's what we had, and I'm grateful for that. I'm really. It takes a long time to realize how grateful you could be about just small things. And like I'm just the whole time like I'm thinking this like, yo, like why don't you change? Like, I mean, they say drugs is addictive, and that's fine. It can be really addictive, but you have to want to change as well. It's not just, oh well, one day you go, oh, I think I don't want to do heroin no more. You're like, you need to start sitting there and go, we need to do something as society to show that this is not the way to go. Back in the '80s, they had that crack epidemic when the government pretty much shifted in D.C. and it just spread everywhere. And the term crackhead came out of nowhere. Now there's so much more help, but it's still a drug epidemic that is destroying the inner cities, the suburbia, the country, just everywhere. It's sad. It really is. And so wrap that up real quick. It's sad to see somebody in a state where they don't. It's like they don't care about themselves anymore, and they don't care if you find them, couple weeks or couple days or a couple months down the road, like on a side of the road or in the back of the woods or stuff like that. Everyone deserves love, one way or another. And it's sad what I saw. It really did. Really, it affected my thinking for a couple of days for a little bit. So
On this past Thursday, I was dropping off a package at a, should I say the town?
yeah, you say that.
I was at Denton, Maryland post office. I went in to drop off a package. Right behind me was a young girl. So I was dropping off a package, paid, left. Two cars next to me were two little girls in the back seat with the vehicle on with cracked windows, alone. I'm talking about 3 or 4 year olds. I ended up waiting a little bit. The girl came back out, got into the passenger seat, and then bolted back inside. I guess she didn't have enough money to pay for what she needed. Was in there another 3 or 4 minutes, then came back out real quick, got in her car and left. Now, I know it's hard to be a parent, but you don't leave your kids in the car. 3 year olds. It doesn't matter where you come from, you just don't do that. And it was 94 degrees outside. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do.
Because you don't expect that to see that like in the heat. I mean, it's 94
Yeah.
degrees, probably heat index probably 106.
Yeah, you
You
hear
know,
about it. Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
You hear about it on the news, people leaving, going to the casino and leaving the kids, but you don't actually see it.
Well,
It's
it's bad. It's bad because if you think about it, like it's an unpopular opinion, in my opinion. Because I've heard women say, "Oh, I'm only going to be in and out." You know what I mean? You can't guarantee that in and out because at the end of the day, man, there's people there. I mean, it don't matter if it's a mail post office. I don't care if it's going to someone's house. Man, there is so many people out there that wants to do harm. They don't care about you. They don't care about the situation. They just want to do for themselves. And at the end of the day, it's not about doing it for yourself because the best thing about doing it for yourself is helping others at the end of the day. Because even if, I understand you didn't say nothing. I probably would have spoke up, said something real quick, like, yo, what's up with that? What are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
I've gotten more boisterous about that,
Hmm.
saying certain things sometimes. Sometimes I try to not because I know it's going to escalate. Being a former bouncer, I know where that goes.
Yeah.
And back then I didn't care, but now I don't want to fight. I'm not trying to fight with nobody. I ain't trying to physically, verbally, none of that. I am trying to be positive 100% and enjoy my life because I have done so much in my life that, I mean, writing books, I mean, 17 years of bouncing, it's probably like 20 more or less. I mean, going to a bar that was I guess you say a redneck country bar that sit there and you see all this stuff on the walls and you're like, wow, I come in with button shirt, white t-shirt underneath, with khakis and some Timberlands my first day. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to the club. Robbed by the place for 6, 7 times, can't find it, kind of figured where it was. And I was like, okay, well, this could be interesting, I keep on thinking to myself, be positive, be positive. And I'm walking in and it was just like, whoa, where am what's going on here? Like people with 10-gallon hats, like belt buckles the size of your Empire State Building, cowboy boots all the way up to like the inner thighs. Like it was crazy stuff that I seen because I'm not used to that. I was not per se a country boy. I was born and raised in Farmington, little town, 110 people. Shout out to my people there. I ain't seen them in a long time. I gotta get down there sooner or later, But I mean, we didn't see that. We saw like we kind of just did our own thing. We hung out wherever, We hung out, Dover or Harrington or Felton or I mean going to Salisbury before Rehoboth and Ocean City and wherever. We just went wherever and we enjoyed ourselves. But I wasn't really like used to that because the first bouncing gig I had was in Dover anyway, and that was Mingles, and it was more catered to the African American community, and so like when you went there and being the white guy there, like you were definitely the only white guy there, and there was like 300, 400 people. So trust me, I got real. I guess you say the one of the best experience of my life there because I learned a lot. Like I learned how people can be, like how negative can be. People can be hate you just because you're a different skin color. Literally. I mean, I was called a lot of names there. I kind of just smiled and grinned, bared it, and just it is what it is. I can't take it personal because at the end of the day, it's not me fighting. It's me versus the world at that point because I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all now. Like back in the time, hey, let's do this. Now, not now. It's all about humanity, all about loving and caring for each other. So jumping back on the post office thing, the biggest thing I think that we take from that is the fact that these kids were what about 4 or 5? You said
3 or 4.
3 or 4, and you didn't
Younger
even,
than my daughter.
and you said you
And
weren't,
she's almost 4.
and you weren't sure that they had the AC on or not.
I couldn't tell.
You know.
Windows were cracked. I couldn't tell whether the AC was on. I just stayed in my car until at least the lady came and left.
Yeah.
No one.
Because I mean, it's right down the road from Royal Farms, and then Royal Farms is not the best place to be.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, you could sit there and park your car in the middle of the road. Doesn't mean someone ain't going to take it or move it. You gotta be smart there at the end of the day.
Yep.
Them kids. Kids are precious. They're our future. That's what makes us. I was always told, my mom always told me, you don't let me bury you. It's your job to bury us. And that's what I always go by. In my mind, I kept that promise and I'm keeping that promise and I did do that promise and it's sad that they were gone, but I did keep that promise to mom and I'm grateful I did.
You mentioned something earlier, something about how you grew up. I was born in a country called Peru. Some of you that don't know that country, it's actually in South America. I say somewhat because believe me, some people have said, "Is that in Africa?"
Are you serious?
Yes. Some say, "Is that in
Peru.
Africa?"
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, it is in South America.
Wow.
I was put into adoption along with my sister when I was 5 and she was 3, and we were an orphanage for a couple years till I was adopted at 7.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about that because I remember when you told me about that. Because you go by John. It's technically not your real name.
No,
You
my
know?
name is Juan Carlos.
So, maybe we should start doing real talk Eastern Shore, with Ron and Carlos.
That's
What,
not
Juan Carlos?
Juan Carlos.
Oh, well, yeah, that's too big of a name. I'm not even going to try that. You know what I mean?
Ron and Juan.
Juan and Quan. Hey, I'm cool with that. We
Ron and
want to
Juan.
change it. Hey, is that'd be probably the first people they ever knew that had a name like that, because I don't know anybody named that. But like you said, your name got changed to John. And now the story is that you live in America and you're enjoying life as it is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You've done really good for yourself, because another backstory is the fact that about, I would say, 9 years ago, now about 8 years ago, I was fighting my brother because my mom had just passed, and my brother had, I guess the best terminology is not do right by the family, and I became homeless pretty much.
Mhm.
I lived in a van pretty much. I slept in a van. I slept a lot of places. I slept on people's couches. It's not the best place to be. So that it's not like someone sitting here. Oh well, he's been gifted with this and he had this. Nah, I was sitting on couches, sleeping, sitting up in a van sometimes, like for 2 hours. Taking a shower wherever I could. Stuff like that. And that went on for almost a year. Like, it was pretty intense, needless to say, because sometimes it was just like, man, I cannot believe I'm in this state. And I mean, it wasn't drugs. I mean, the death of my mom really put me in a downward spiral, and I kept on trying to fight. And I was every time I fought, it just seemed not to happen. um that's when my a year before that, I believe, my daughter was born, Graceland. And thank God for her. She is a blessing. She is great. I'm blessed to have her in my life. And her mom. Me. It's like any parent. Not every parent's going to agree with everything, but at the end of the day, we come together when we need to, and that's fine with that. But I was just in a downward spiral. I kept on. I really wasn't making great money. Child support was hitting me in my head, and I didn't know what to do. Like, so I just kept on pushing. I was doing working. I think I'd get up at 6:30 in the morning, go to Baltimore, go over there, pick up my freight, come back here, get done, go back to Baltimore, and I'd be home at 11, 12 o'clock, or be in my mobile unit kind of deal, or wherever I was crashing that night. And that happened so many times. It really wore me out. And then you figure, that was Monday through Friday, and then Friday night, it wasn't even going back. It was going straight to the bar to work from 9 to 2. And God bless, Marianne and Lucy. And I remember, oh my God, Lucy keep me in there till 4 or 5 in the morning. Eyes be cross-eyed, just be like, yeah, Lucy, yeah, God bless her soul, definitely, man. I love that woman to death. She was she had a lot of influence on me, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but I mean,
Fortunately.
yeah, fortunately. But yeah, she was one of a kind. At least I knew where I stood with her. Like, if she didn't like you, she told you. She
Mhm.
didn't care, and I'm cool with that. Like, I like someone that's being upfront with me. If you don't like me, I'd rather know that than thinking, oh well, he's my partner, or this guy, this girl, she's cool. Nah, you're just not cool with me. I'm cool with that. But I did that Friday and Saturday night, man. So, like, you figure, what did I have time? What, Sunday was my rest time, and
Sometimes you have to work that Sunday too,
yeah. So I
especially during the
mean, yeah,
holidays.
during holidays you're working 7 days a week, and you're just burning both ends. And I mean, it took a lot of life out of me, honestly. Like, for me to be where I'm at and being my age, I'm shocked that I'm still here. To be dead honest with you, I got to kick this cigarette habit. That's for sure. That's a terrible habit. Don't ever start it. If you do, don't talk to me. No,
Just kidding.
just kidding.
Subscribe anyway.
Yes, please, please. But no, I mean, it just one thing after another, and we were I think the bar was going. It was pretty much dead all the time. It's like 3 to 4 people in there on a Friday and Saturday night,
Yeah.
and this weird looking dude came in, kind of thinking that he was gonna I don't know what he was trying to think. Maybe he thought he was going to pick up on somebody, or he's just going to have fun because he just moved over there. And we started talking. We conversated and stuff. And he was a security guy for Queen Anne's emergency room over in Queen Anne's County, which just I guess it opened back in what 2000.
That one, 2010.
Was it 2010?
But I was in Chestertown at the time.
Were you in Chestertown at that time? Was that before? So what was that? 2012?
2012.
2012, yeah. So 10 years. Yay! 10-year celebration. There we go. But at the same time, he was there, and then one day I forget how it all come about, but he was actually, you want to crash in my spare room? I was like, yeah, I really don't want to be a bother. He was like, no. He's like, usually I'm never home. I work 3 to 11 anyway, half the time, and you can crash there. And from there, man, like that little help did so much, even though it was a small little help. It propelled me to where I needed to go and where I am today. It made me fight. It made me, hungry again. Hungry as in I want to do better. I want to be better. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like doing this podcast. If you told me 5 years ago this would happen, I'd call you a liar because there's no way I'm going to have this guy next to me, John, talk more than a minute. Everyone that knows John will tell you he don't talk. He rarely talks, and when he talks, it's very short and sweet, which is fine. But he's going to start coming out of his shell because he's got to. Because I can only talk so much.
I'm almost at a minute.
Well, you might
59 seconds right now.
Well, I know it was at like 23 minutes earlier, but I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, they're going to get different flavors here because you're looking at 2 different aspects. You're from coming in the country. Even though you were little, you experienced good things and bad things as well.
But I didn't start living in the country until I was an adult.
So you're 18.
Well, yeah, the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So I mean, But
I lived in other countries too.
Oh, you did? Where else?
Went from Peru to Mexico City to Seoul, Korea, Myanmar, Burma. And that's where I lived.
Okay.
Before. Oh, and then back to Mexico for the rest of high school.
So my question is South Korea, which is Seoul, South Korea, that's the capital, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it really that nice?
It is nice.
Because I remember going to the base one time. Well, I used to go to the base all the time because I had to deliver there.
Right.
And I remember one guy was like, yeah, I'm going to, Seoul, South Korea. I'm going to be stationed there in about 3 weeks. And I love it there, this and that. And I'm like, I don't know about this out of country stuff, man, because I don't like to fly. Listen, if I can't get there by walking or car, I don't want to go. I refuse to go. Like, I've been told, hey, you want to go on a cruise? I'm like, nah, I don't feel like looking over in the ocean going, wonder if there's a hole going to hit in the bottom of that damn boat. Where am I going to be if this boat sinks? I'm going to be shark bait if I go in the water. I'm real fat. You know what I mean? Like,
but you're buoyant, so you'll stay up.
I will stay up a little bit longer than the other kids or guys or girls or whatever. But I mean, if there's a life jacket or a lifeboat, man, they're about to get out. Like, for real, we fight 100%. Like, we'll have to take it. We'll take it wherever. I don't care where we're at.
They'll throw you 2, 1 for each arm. So
well, that's fine with me. I mean, if I could find a flotation device, I'll find it. You know what I mean? One way or another. I mean, if I got to swallow water just to get the water out of the ocean, I guess so. It is what it is. But that's just like they kept on telling me. It's real nice. It's like there in I think it was Anchorage, Alaska, or something like that, or Juneau. There's another place that like they deploy to, and they said they love it up there too. Like a lot of the military people. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm not a military person, but, go with it, buddy. Go with it. Enjoy yourself. You got one life to live, It's just like, if I had to do it all over, I'd probably do a lot of things differently,
Right.
But no regrets. But at the same time, is it no regrets? Or is it, if you had done it differently, isn't it a regret?
Yeah, if you would have done it differently, that is a regret.
But you hear it all the time. People say, oh, I would have done it differently, but it's no regrets. Does that make any sense? Like, I was sitting there thinking about this. Like, it makes no sense. And the thing is, like, you go through life, and you meet different people of different, aspects of life. And if you don't give them a chance or don't even, like, I guess you can say, me and John, like, I'm totally different than John. Like, I'm a loud mouth sometimes. I could be vulgar, and stuff like that. But I'm not going to be that. I need to change that about myself. That's, part of this podcast is going to help me
Yeah.
is to change myself, be a better person for everyone and be a better person around me and my surroundings, because I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to sit there and be like blah 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 beep 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 beep, and that's just me saying that, not the podcast, but I'm just saying because I don't want to get flagged. But I mean, I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, there's going to be a time that we all face reality of we're this old, this could happen to us, that we demise.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to regret anything before I go. Well, I don't want to regret the rest of my years if I had to. I choose not to. So
Yeah, the past is the past. You can't change that, but you can only change your future. Well, not change your future, but you can live it.
true, but you can change your past.
You got
You
time
can
machine
change your
somewhere.
past. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it depends on the diameter and the perimeter of the proximity that we're talking about. You know what I mean? You might not be able to change life decisions,
Mm-hmm.
but you can change other things. Like if we play tic tac toe, you can say you won a year ago, and I could just say, you know what, you don't remember this? Oh yeah, I forgot. You did win one time. So I mean, you could do it. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's going to mean anything, but I mean, you can always change your past, because just don't get it to the past. Make it the present. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like I got three babies' moms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do I sometimes wish that they were different? Yes. But at the end of the day, I got three beautiful kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I got Corey. He is 20, let's see, 97. So he's 25. Damn, I'm getting old. So he's 25. Yeah, he's
Damn.
25.
Shit.
And then
It's been a while.
and then Alexis, she's 22. She's a mess. Oh my god. If anybody can help me out with this gothic stuff, let me know. Please do. Man, she is all tatted up, and oh man, I have no tats, and she has like 635 of them. So like, and she's got piercings. Like I don't even want to know where she's got piercings. Ugh. Anyway, and then I have my baby girl Graceland. She is 10. She I can't describe that. Like I wish I was a better father to all three of them. I really do. I mean, I think I've done decent. I'm not going to say I've been the best, but I mean, I need to be better for them, and that way they can, Alexis can, grow, and so can Corey. Even though they're 25 and 22, still they can grow. And Grayson, feel protected and know that Dad has her side regardless of anything. So
Right. As not recently, but about my son just turned 8 on the 1st of this month, August 1st. So I've got an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old who'll be 4 in October. Time goes by fast.
so fast, and it's crazy because you don't expect it. Like
Yep.
you get kids, and like you think, oh, this is the good times, and because you have kids, and it's a great time. It's plain and simple. It's just amazing how they are a spitting image of you to a point. They take things that you do and take things that you say, and they mold it into who you want, and to the point where they're like a little you. It's stuff like that and everything. Um, so like I said, man, we're two fathers that we love our kids more than anything in life. I just want them to succeed and be happy and enjoy life at the end of the day. They shouldn't have to deal with the BS that some of us have created and some of us haven't. But at the end of the day, it's rough, and I know it's rough on them.
Mhm.
So I do want to give a little shout out. I had two employees that lost family members. Um, I won't reveal their names, but I'm here with you. I'm thinking about you all. You're in my thoughts. Um, you need anything, let me know. Um, I know it's a rough go, but it won't get better. But at least they're at a better place now. So that's the biggest thing I was going to say there. So it costs a lot of money out there in the therapy world. I mean, it's $100 to $120 a shot just for therapy, and that's for 60 minutes for a woman to sit there. Go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. Well, what do you think about that? Well, we're not professionals, but we can help that. We can help you if it needs to be, to the point where you feel comfortable sitting there conversating about whatever's on your mind. And we're fine with that. It's not going to bother us at all. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, man, everyone needs somebody. This is not a solo society anymore. You know, everything that's going around us. I mean, down the road in future episodes, we'll talk about the future. We'll talk about I'm pretty sure politics will come up sooner or later. I'm
God,
pretty
I hope
sure.
not.
Well, to speak on that, you got to think about this. We got two 70-year-old men trying to fight to be the top guy in the last what 8 years, 6 years, 6 years. That's pretty sad. Like we should be, in my opinion, that's depressing. Like 70-year-old people, like literally, like they're about to like pretty much like they got to retirement once you get 65, right, or 63 or 67.
65, I think it's early.
I thought it was 65. Well, it used to be 65.
Well, I'm still like a long time away. I'm not as old as you.
Well, I'm getting close. I see it. It's right above my head about 20 years if I make it that long. But I mean, it's sad to see that these are the people who are making our laws, and it is what it is. But that's something we'll talk about, in the future references in the episodes and go from there. But definitely, if like I said, and we'll repeat this over and over again on every episode. If you just need someone to talk to, you need someone, just to vent. You just want to vent about something that makes you so mad. You just like, man, I got no one to vent to. Or, the saying goes, you can be mad or you can be, pissy all you want. No one cares. Well, we do. We want to hear you. We want to hear Eastern Shore. We want to hear Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. We don't have that voice out there. Well, I mean, yeah, Joe Biden's in there. He's Delaware, but technically he's not a Delmarvian because simple fact is he lives above the bridge. So he's not technically what we're looking for. But we're looking for you, the person that, goes out in the field and, does the corn, harvest the corn. We want to hear you, the women out there that, take care of your man and do what you got to do out there and you don't have nowhere to vent to, or, you hope you can vent to your man or woman, I mean, we're not going to discriminate. We don't care what color you are. We don't care what gender you are. We don't care who you are. At the end of the day, we care about you.
Yep.
Okay. And you might not believe it. And you'd be like, oh, I know that Ron guy, man. He is outlandish. Some of the stuff he says is crazy. You're right.
It is.
That is correct. But guess what? That Ron is still there, but a lot gentler now. He understands. He gets it. He understands that life is just like a box of chocolates. One by one, them pieces will go in your mouth and eat it. And it'll be not a box of chocolates. It will be an empty box of chocolates. So just remember that. If you have any questions, we will, in the future, we will have our messenger open. We will probably have a phone number attached here in the next maybe week or two, and we can go from there. So is there anything else you want to say, John?
Just we both want to thank the listeners who take the time to listen. Let us know what you think. If you have any way of making this podcast better, you have any suggestions, just let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we're open for everything. I mean, this is the first one. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the recording goes. Hopefully, I don't sound so nasal. It sounds like I'm talking to my nose, and I'm not. But it is what it is, I guess, right now. But we'd like to thank you. Tuning in on our first episode. It was more nervousing than what I thought it would be. This has been a real thing. The fact that I'll be, if I can just change one life, if I'm able to help one person, then this is worth having for years to years to come. And I'm fine with that. I don't have to make money doing this. This is just a project fun side that I can enjoy, and I can just run my mouth as much as I possibly want, but a lot toner. A lot more gentler, a lot more understanding. And that's how we have to be in life.
So stay tuned for our next episode, which will arrive within a couple weeks once we edit this one.
You better arrive next week, because you're going to fight if not.
We're going to fight.
We're going to do that. What?
We're too old to fight.
Listen to me. I said I was more gentler. I want to fight and stuff.
You
You know what I mean? That stuff like. So.
You just said, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. We're going to fight.
So for Ron and John's show, Real Talk East Shore. Enjoy yourselves and have a good night.